Hello, Emil.
Hi, Andrea. Hi. Are you safe back at home?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
And you?
Yeah, same here. You had a good weekend in Amsterdam?
Yeah, it was nice, thank you. So we had at least sunshine like until 1 or 2 p.m.
Yesterday? Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday and Saturday. The rest of the day was raining, but like yesterday afternoon, then we went to a museum. So we could like walk around in the mornings and stay more indoors in the afternoon, but it was nice.
Nice. Was it the whole family or just you and your wife or?
Me and my wife and my son.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
They have this museum called Nemo there in
Yeah,
Amsterdam.
right. Yeah, I saw about that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it was quite nice.
And I wasn't there, but I saw it exists. Yeah. And it was interesting for your kid as well, or?
Yes, he had fun. So
Nice.
very hands-on museum. It was a bit too crowded, but
Okay.
still
Yeah.
he could play with a lot of things and
Right. Hey. Should we expect someone else? I guess we can get started. I saw that Ole had made some comments and Ben as well. Maybe it was initiated by Ben, yeah, on the testing events. Have you seen that?
yes, but I've not read in detail yet.
No,
so
I haven't either. So maybe I think we could do that together, maybe, and maybe put some general comment on it. It was after we approved it, but anyway.
Okay. Windows.
Yeah, I can add myself as well.
Recording is running. Okay. So starting on test events. Yeah, the reason it wasn't merged is that even though we approved it, it requires signing.
Yeah.
And so Ole to kind of do the rebase and squash to sign the commits. But I think he's still working on that because.
But then Ben had some doubts on the actual implementation as well.
Yeah, so. So let's see.
The trigger. No, but I think that the trigger is valid to have there. Maybe I guess Ben is looking into how, I mean, if an event is triggering it, then of course there is just a relation to the event instead, maybe. But if it's not an event that triggers it, then of course it needs to be something else.
Yeah.
Or I'm not sure if Ben intends to somehow in a link proposal be able to link to something else than events as well. Could be so that he intends to have like a relation to some Chrome tab or something else. I haven't looked into. He says he's working on the linking proposal, but I haven't seen any progress officially.
Yeah, I think Older answered.
Yeah.
There's no real reply. So
So we can see if Ben
Oh,
answers there.
yeah.
But about the type there, what does it say?
I just wanted to say maybe on these. I mean, if we see that at some point the link or the connecting events capability is able to provides enough information to remove the trigger, we can remove it. But I think we could start with it, and
yeah, makes sense.
Because this is ready to go and we could implement it now, and the connecting event is, we don't know yet when it's happening.
I agree.
Okay, so maybe I'll add a comment about that as well.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like, does it make sense?
Yes, yes. Yeah. About the next one, we actually did discuss that already in the pull request. I had a similar comment about the the strings there. If it should really be an enum, that was my comment. If it should be a free text string instead, but because there will always be cases where maybe two of these are okay or none of them, but then we have the other value there. I think the option would be to let go of the enum to make it a free text string instead, but I think I agree with Ola here that we can keep it for now. And then see how it can be used when it's in the protocol.
Yes, it is a bit unclear to me what is the best way forward and on this as well. But
yeah, I mean,
think it's
obviously as a consumer of the events, it's good that the list of valid values is limited so that you can make sense of it. But it might be many producers that don't see that one of these fit really. So, but then it's fine to just use the other or skip the field completely instead. So I don't see a big problem of having it here really.
yeah, I agree, and also no, I think as you said, I mean we discussed it before. I was just thinking again whether we should have the other option or not. Whether other is more valuable than not specifying the type.
Yeah, you could maybe argue that you don't need to have it at all then instead. But if you want to say that this test is not a performance test, then you can use the type and say that it's other and not performance, for example. I'm not sure how much
Okay.
information that provides, but at least maybe something.
No, but you're right. It is different.
I think, yeah. But it's optional
Okay.
anyway. Yeah. Should we write something there as well then, saying that this might not be the best way to do it or something, but we think it could be good to keep it for now.
Is that?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that?
Yeah, where we could of course add additional enums later on if needed as well.
Sorry, I missed your last
Yeah,
comment.
we could also probably add additional enums if needed, additional values in the enums if needed.
Okay.
Next one is a long discussion. I haven't read that yet.
Okay, so let's sorry, I'm reading through.
Yeah, have you read it now?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
last paragraph there, I think it's an important one from Ole. That, and I agree, it's not. I wouldn't say that Jenkins itself will send the test events. That would be from the test framework, and if of course if the tests are performed as like, I don't know, bash scripts or something else within the Jenkins bash job, then of course it can be sent from within Jenkins, but not by the Jenkins engine itself. I think Jenkins shouldn't really parse the ongoing jobs and interpret if this is a build or a test or something else that we should send events for. So I think it's the process that actually performs the tests or the builds or something else that should send these events, that just as Ola says there, and not Jenkins itself. Then I don't know if test suite related events is something that Jenkins would know about either. I would rather say that Jenkins should mostly know about like pipelines and tasks in the pipelines, so task runs and pipeline runs. And then if test suite events and test case events are to be sent as part of those tasks, that should be up to the test framework to send them. At least that's how we do it today in Ericsson. That's a good way to do
it. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you could have some Jenkins plugin that is aware about tests, does some more test specific functionality, but then it would be the plugin that manages these events.
Yeah,
but not Jenkins core. I mean, Jenkins core is, as you said, is managing more like the pipeline orchestration thing, side of thing, or even the build orchestration, I should say. I guess the pipeline functionality is in a plugin as well, but I think. But yeah, so I agree.
But I mean, we could compare it to Tekton instead, I guess, and it should be the same there. Tekton shouldn't be aware of any tests executions performed within its pipelines, I would say, or tasks. Or do you see it the same way?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, you could build a Tekton extension controller that is used to manage specific text functionality within Tekton, but again, it would be something on top. So so Tekton natively does not know about tests or builds or this kind of thing. So not for now, at least. I mean, but I don't think it will in future.
No. And I think it's the same with Jenkins, even though Jenkins has been around for a long time. So of course Jenkins has a concept of builds, but that's not the same thing as we talk about builds, I would say here. I mean, nothing that really necessarily builds an artifact, at least. It's an execution of some kind rather than build.
Yeah.
But with that said, of course, there needs to be some way to correlate the events to each other. So the events sent natively by the pipeline executor, being it Jenkins or Tekton or something else, those events should be possible to relate to the events that are sent from within the steps, these test events, for example. So there needs to be, I mean, probably the pipeline engine then needs to somehow promote or provide the needed IDs or datums needed to correlate the events for internal systems. So those need to be propagated somehow to the actual executions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great point. So that would be typically like.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
No, I mean, I was thinking that typically is like something like a a build ID that is then used to associate test results to the specific execution for the CI engine. Yeah.
And we need quite soon to be able to start. I mean, now Ben did some, not a graph, but some outline of a flow there. And we should probably show in such a typical flow, what events can we expect to be sent and how should they relate to each other. We should start drawing such graphs or writing it in text quite soon. But that, I think that will come together with Ben's proposal there on the connecting events.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so.
But I guess the specific question there was how do the test cases relate to the test suites? And I think there are fields for that in the test case events, if I'm not mistaken now. In test case events, let me check. So the test case run has a reference to the test suite run.
And to the test case. A test suite run as the reference to the test suite.
Okay, but in the end there is no relation really between the test suite and the test case in the just end of the page further down on the common objects in the bottom there. If we go further down to after all events in the bottom of it there. So I mean, this represents the actual test suites and the test cases, not the runs themselves, but the test cases and test suites. And there is no relation here between the test suites and the test cases. So instead, that is done in the run subjects, it seems.
Okay.
That could maybe be argued. I'm not sure, but yeah, the test suite could be something dynamical, which doesn't look the same for every execution. It depends on what the needs are in testing something. So the list of test cases to be executed in a suite might be different from time to time. And maybe that's a reason to have it in the run objects instead of in the actual test suite objects.
Yeah, I guess the assumption is that the consumer will not have access necessarily to the system where test cases and test suites are defined either. So it's just providing information in the run, but not.
Yeah. But I mean, the definition of a test suite could be like a name and some type or something. What does it have? It name, version, URI. Okay, but something that is quite small, but just like what is this test suite about? And then to know what it actually consists of when running, you need to look at the running objects because it could be then a dynamic. But it depends on your test management system, of course, and how test suites are created.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm not positively, I'm not exactly sure that this will hold forever. The fields we have here now in the test case run, test suite run, but let's try it, I would say, and see how it can be used. Hopefully it works. It should work well with TestCube at least. And the first implementation of these test events will probably be in TestCube.
Yes.
So
yeah, that's
then
for
we
sure.
have something to discuss around when we have it there, I think.
Yeah.
So there you have the reference to test suite run, for example, yeah, and that's like a parent-child relationship, you could say, I guess. So the test case run is part of a test suite run. And I think that could be okay.
Mm. Yeah, sorry, I was thinking, but yeah. Test suite run is not a mandatory field anyways, right?
No, it's not mandatory. Shouldn't be. Not according to the table, at least.
Yeah.
And I hope the schema says the same.
Yeah, so it could be that it's it could be the test case runner. I think what Ben maybe was trying to say in some initial part of his comment also could be that the test runner is not necessarily aware of the overall test suite. But yeah, that's a more complicated kind of setup, and I think for now it's yeah, it's fair to assume that we have a tool, and the tool is aware of the suite, and the test case is if the suite is defined, and it will emit the events.
Yeah, of course, that it could be so that the test case executor doesn't really know which suite it's in. Maybe.
Yeah, one could try to build a kind of test suite of all, I don't know, all the security related events, and it could be that the security related events are managed by different test runners, because some are CDE scans, some other are static scans, or so forth. But yeah, so building this kind of like dynamic distributed test suite, it's a bit more complex. So I don't think we need necessarily to cover that use case, that scenario with these
but I think
events. No.
also in that case that there could be an property or a parameter in the interface towards such a test case runner that it takes in a test suite run reference that it can be used in events later on. It's not, that's at least a possibility that if the test case runners are conformant with some interface, then they could take that in to reference it in the events sent within.
Yes, it could be, but if we define something like this, global ID or context ID is something that's probably what should be used also in that case to correlate things from.
Yes.
But then again, the value could be replicated then into the two fields.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so what shall we say then? I think I would say +1 on Ole's answer.
Yeah, I agree. I can say +1 to your comments there as well, so it's visible that I have been part of the discussion. Mm. Yeah, right. So you can maybe add a comment as well about that the connected events initiative could potentially affect this PR later on, or could propose changes to it.
Is that okay?
Which can we deal with? It was a strange sentence, I guess. Which can be dealt with, or which we can deal with. Okay, yeah, which we can deal with in the future. Yeah, whichever.
Which we can deal with in future.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
All right.
So it's
Okay,
still
so
approved, then I guess.
yes, so I think in general, Ben is not opposing the PR anyways. So
No.
this looks good to me. So I think hopefully once we get the rebase from all the Scotian signature, then it can be merged. Okay.
He wrote something in some chat or something about how to sign, but you declared that for him, right? You helped him there.
Yeah, so I well, he was busy at the booth, but I had a quick chat with him and gave him some hints on how to do it. But he said he ran into issues because he had some merge commits, but then I suggested a different strategy on how to do it. For me, I think it's important. It's good to keep the same PR. So if your local branch for some reason is not is somehow corrupted or difficult to use, I suggested to create a new branch, put the latest content in there, then you can create simply just a new commit, but you can still push it against the same remote branch on your fork, and then it will go in the same PR. Yeah, but that's
good.
Okay. So I added in here connecting events because I wasn't sure. Well, I guess it's a morning one. I wasn't sure whether Ben was going to join today, but I guess it's.
He will not be. And I looked in the document now. It's not updated since March 27th, so he hasn't made any updates to this document, it seems.
Okay, let's skip this topic. I don't think there is. I don't think we have things to discuss on it then. For now, I would say.
No, but it's good to see that Ben at least is thinking about it, even though we don't see any results really yet. But it's good. He's still intending to work on it and provide something. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's. We look forward to his proposal. So then next I had in there the artifact side event. That's what we discussed there at KubeCon. It's just a small PR, and that includes an example, a schema, and some changes to the markdown to add the signed event.
Strange that I didn't get mail about that. So did I miss that maybe? I didn't see that you created that one.
So there is only the signature there, but it's a string. And yeah, so that's about it. It passes CI, so the example validates against the schema, and this is what the events looks like. So same as the other one, just a new predicate and the extra signature field.
Should we have you written some in the documentation there? Did you write something about the reasoning on why it should be its own event? And I don't know if it obviously it could be part of the artifact packaged event as well, I guess, in some sort of use cases, but if it's signed afterwards in another process, then it would be there, of course. That's quite related to how the test output event is created as well now, where there's additional output created after the execution is done. So this is similar. I mean, you add some properties to the artifacts in some sense after it has been built and packaged. I'm not sure if it's a bad thing that we now force producers to produce 2 events for 1 artifact when they are signed, instead of just having 1 packaged event with the same information in. And the same for consumers. It will be a bit more cumbersome for the consumers to parse the data when it comes from 2 different events and relate them. But yeah, I think it's okay to have it there now at least. And it's the same as for the test outputs. We should maybe have an optional object both for this and for the test output thingy in the test case finished events or something like that as well, and in the artifact packaged event here. Maybe I don't know.
We could. I think we discussed this last time. You mentioned though that might be confusing for consumers, because then you don't know where to expect signature, whether it's on one side or the other. So you need to have the logic then on the receiving side that checks both.
Yeah, that's always, of course, the drawback, and I think that's also maybe a good thing that we haven't explicitly stated somewhere, that we should maybe have as a common rule of thumb that we want to have often at least one way to express things and not multiple ways. But the drawback will be that there could be multiple events instead, like in this case.
Yeah, I think like you proposed something along the lines in the past of having a number of like small diagrams or small use case representations somehow. Maybe it would be good to have like for each event.
Yeah.
Over time, start adding like for each event, like a use case or an example use case where that event is used.
Yeah.
Maybe we could build a library of those and link them into the event definitions here.
Yeah. I guess one thing I learned on KubeCon, and of course I've heard about it before, is that it's very important to have good examples and good documentation and good ways to get started with your open source project, whatever project it is. And I think we lack that to some extent in this. And obviously we lack contributors, and but there are certain improvements we can do in the documentation and surrounding things. But let's try to at least do something here by writing something more in the documentation at least.
Okay, so I'll update that. Okay, then things I add in here, released 3.3 status. We can have a quick look and then updates on the several SDKs.
Yeah.
So for release.3, I guess this is
Are those connected now, or
oh, I need to.
that's just one of the maybe there could be multiple supply chain aspects later on, or should we just focus on the signing for now, you think? Should there be another issue for the rest?
Yeah, probably. This is in progress. Okay, so this is probably not, yeah, probably not happening in part of 0.3, but
about the proof of concept there in the GitHub actions, should we write some more comment now after our discussions there on KubeCon? I don't know. I'm a bit afraid that Viva might not be able to do this anyway. And Brad seems to be able to do it quite quickly. Maybe it might be a relief for Viva if we ask Brad just to do it. I'm not sure. What is your thinking? Not to push for it that it needs to be done, but more for if Viva would like to be relieved from it, or
yeah. I mean,
Should we wait another week on it, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's maybe something that Brad and VPUB should agree upon between them. As I said, I don't want to push for this to happen. I mean, it's nice if it happens. Also nice if it doesn't wait idle for too long, though. So,
but I think we can give them another week or two. That's no problem. I mean, they have just returned from KubeCon themselves as well, so
yeah.
But it's not really a problem if this doesn't make it to 0.3, of course.
Indeed. So for the SDK, I guess this is something that I wanted to start drafting. So I'll try to work on it for this 0.3 timeframe. I think it would be good, also given the experience in reviewing the different status of the different SDKs. I think not having like some clear guidelines, it's hurtful, is harmful. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I'll try and prepare a draft maybe until next or the following working group, that we can add it to the docs. We'll discuss it and then. But yeah.
Yeah. So the time slot or the time for 0.3, we have planned it for end of this month, which is in the weekend on Sunday, more or less, which seems a bit problematic. What do you think about the CDCon there? It would be great, of course, to have 0.3 to talk about there. And the test events should be very close to being ready now, I hope.
Yes, I don't expect the connecting events to be ready in time.
No,
it's still something we can mention as something that we're working on in CDCon, depending on how far we get. But then I would cut a new release 0.3 regardless of that, so we can have the test events, and hopefully we can have the artifact signed event.
Yeah.
And some updates on the SDKs. So my hope would be to have like the guidelines for the SDKs merged, and maybe be done with the release automation, so that we have the free SDKs available. I'm not sure they will be all up to date with 0.3, but at least having a published version of all SDKs will be good.
Yeah, they will not be up to date with 0.3, I would guess. Have we got any comments from? Refactoring the code. I see that Jalandra has opened a new pull request there on Java SDK.
Yes, he started working on it. I've not looked at the PR yet, but we can probably switch to that.
I think Jalandra has taken over from Adam there.
Yes, so we have some contribution by this by Tomasz Zarna as well.
Yeah,
and some of the issues. which is great.
Who is that
Yes.
person? Do you know who that is?
No, I was going to try and reach out, see if it's on Slack, perhaps.
He seems to be
yeah.
involved in some Java projects there. Different areas. Okay. Interesting. He might be one of those that listen to our meetings but never come to them.
And then, as you were saying, yeah, Jalander started working on fixes, so that's good.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Provide a few links here in the notes. Apart from that, on the Java SDK, there is an initial version of the release process that works. So we actually have one initial package up there, which is labeled as 0.1.0 underscore draft 6 or something like that. Basically, I was testing the release process, and yeah, and then there is a proposal to use JReleaser.
Okay.
For managing releases, so that probably happen as well.
Is that related to the GitHub release itself, or what kind of release thing is that? You know?
It's the release to Maven.
Ah, to Maven. Okay, yeah. Okay. So
it does,
once it's released in GitHub, I guess it could run to release to Maven afterwards, or
yeah, I think if I remember correctly, JReleaser will also help linking the GitHub release to the Maven release, and it will provide better changelog automation and these kind of things. So Andres is the maintainer of JReleaser.
Okay.
And he presented the tool in the past to a working group in the CDF. But yeah, so it seems that he's keen on helping us and Ivan in implementing this for the Java SDK, and I think it's good. I mean, the more automation we get in place, the easier for us to maintain it in future. So
sure.
And maybe the other thing worth mentioning about this is that I created a user called CDEvents bot. It's a GitHub user.
Yeah.
And that's so we can use it as kind of a service account to drive these releases in automation, so that we don't have to use personal accounts. And I believe you have access to the 1Password.
Yeah, I
account.
have used it, but I should have access, I hope.
Okay. So the credentials and the two-factor authentication bit for that account are in one password. So should you ever need to log in as that user, you can find the credentials in one password. Right. Yeah, so that's I think that's the status for the Java SDK.
The Python, I don't expect anything new to have happened.
No, I know Evan is looking at the release automation there as well. One of the issue was the lack of a service account, so I configured the same user for the Python SDK repo as well. So that hopefully Evan will be able to continue setting up the publishing to PyPy for that.
Right. It's GitHub action release. Okay, yeah, yes, yeah, that's right. I see the issue there.
Yeah, I guess we're at time, but
yeah, oh, I need to have another meeting. But, yeah, that's okay. So that one, yeah.
Anyways, for the Go SDK, once the test, once the test PR is the test event PR is merged, we'll make an update. But I was planning to meet maybe with some of the test cube folks this week, also to show them how to use the generation feature, so that they may generate the SDK for themselves before we release 0.3, so they can proceed.
Okay, I need to go to my other meeting there, but
yeah,
we'll keep in touch.
Sure.
Good job, and we hear each other tomorrow. I guess there's a SIG meeting today as well. We'll see if that will be. Maybe there's be some value stream management discussions there. We'll see.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.